Hello, 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 and welcome to another exciting episode of the Insaka Talk Show. We are so excited that you're here with us. We are happy that you have decided to take time and spend time with us today. It's always exciting to connect with you guys. In the studio with me are my lovely co-hosts, Miss Winnie Musonda, all the way from New Jersey.
Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing great. Please like, subscribe, and follow us. Share, guys. Chili Shani. I hope you're all doing well. Thank you for having us today. Thank you,
All
Nelly.
right, Miss Priska van der Vestas Chira, all the way from Baltimore, Maryland.
The DMV area.
Mhm.
Hi,
Oh my
everyone.
God.
Thank you for tuning in. Welcome to another episode of the Insaka Talk Show. Thank you so much. You guys look amazing.
Thank
I'm
you.
excited to be here today. Looking forward to this show. It's just
Thank
been,
you.
it's long, long overdue. We need to talk about this. Let's discuss it. Let's talk about it.
Absolutely. I think it's one of your favorite topics. If you ask me, this is one of this is a personal one for Priska.
One on
You know,
one.
another one that I'm waiting that I was like, this needs to be done. How to be a good house guest. I thought about it and I
Mm,
was like, we should do it.
yeah. I think it marries into our topic for today. And guys, we have a very timely topic, like Priska said. We are talking about setting boundaries in relationships. But before we dive into that, we want to break the ice. All right.
Yes.
So, question for you guys: have you ever said no to something this week, or have you said no recently to something this week? And if the answer is yes, what was it and how did it make you feel? We'll start with, I want to end with Priska, so we'll start with Winnie.
Ah, have I said no this week? Not this week, but
Last week,
couple weeks. Yeah, the couple weeks. I think we were having a conversation with my friend, and then it was something to do like if they bring you into this picture because you're not in the picture. Like for example, they're doing something and I'm not in the picture, and they said if they bring you in the picture, are you gonna say yes? I said hell no.
You
what
mean
are you
Photoshop
talking
you
about? You're
in?
confusing us.
Huh?
What are
You
you
mean
talking about?
you mean being photoshopped into a picture?
Yeah, like for not Photoshop in the picture. Like for example, you're having something going on like in your home. You have a
Uh-huh.
party in your home, and then I'm not there at the moment. And then they said, "Oh no, they're working on it." I was like, "No, I'd rather not be part of it. Don't even force it." So
What?
I said no.
I'm confused.
Okay, be confused. What I'm
What did you
saying.
say no to last week?
So last week we are having a conversation with my friends. So they're having a party at their house. I was not aware because I was left out. I was not invited. So they said, "Oh, no worry about it. Actually, they're going to invite you." I said, "No, I don't want to go. Don't invite me." So when they asked me, "Are you coming?" I said, "No, I am now going to your party." And
Good
I
job.
felt good because at the end of the day, I was like, "No, to set up the boundaries. Don't invite me if you didn't invite me then." So right there, I was like, "No, I'm going to own it." And I walked out.
Mm.
Would you?
Have I said no? Uh, well, I think that's a whole nother topic there. So, but kudos to you for standing your ground, Winnie. Have I said no this week? I usually say yes to things. No, I'm not very famous for saying no. I usually say yes, but I probably said no to my kids 100 times this week. I can't remember honestly off the top of my head something that I said no to recently, but I probably said no to my kids or something.
Nelly, you do say no a lot to us, though.
I do. Oh yeah, actually, I did say no. I did say a big no, but do we want to talk about that? Do we?
No, we
I
don't.
said a big no regarding the Insaka Talk. We're not going to talk about that. So, Priska, over to you.
Last week, maybe 2 weeks ago. So one thing that we did in the SDMV leadership team is we set up call center here at my house, where we decided let's call all the members, all the people in the community, and ask them to sign up for membership and pay for membership. So the call center was set up here at my house. So the next time, what we wanted to do is we wanted to do the same for just to follow up, make phone calls. And so I was in the car with Zach when the meeting was going on. So I think it was Pastor Ines or somebody that was like, "Are we using the same thing?" And I said, "No, we're not using my house again." So Zach was like, "If you're feeling, if you know," I said, "Absolutely no. I don't want to use my house again." So yes, I did say no, and unapologetically just said no.
And
That's
how did
you.
it feel?
Very good, very liberating. I live for no.
Yeah.
I love it. When I learned how to say no, that was the most liberating thing. Like I was so proud of myself. It really felt good to say no.
Yeah. Yeah, it does feel good to say no because sometimes we feel burdened with, we don't want to be disliked for being the one that says no. So yeah, but if we're like Priska and don't just care, like I don't care what you think, I'm gonna say no because in this moment it doesn't serve me to say yes. So I think that's a commendable attribute.
Nigerians, go ahead.
Mhm. No, I'm done.
Nigerians always say, "I will not displease myself and please you." Oh." So I always think about, yeah, I'm not displeasing myself now to please you. So I'll pick me always.
Mhm.
It's very
Yeah.
hard for me to say no. When I say no, that means like I really don't want to do it. Most of the time, I'm like, yeah. I'll do it.
Yeah.
So good for you. All right, moving on.
All right, moving on. Community news. This one, Priska, I know you're going to be attending and representing the Insaka Talk Show. You want to talk about it?
Yes, the Atlanta Zambian Women with Influence Zambian hosting a Zambian culture. Richie Busy will be performing, and that will be on Saturday, June. Is it June 15th? On Saturday, June 15th. I will be there on Friday, June 13th. But I'm excited because Flo Kid is going to be the DJ.
Mhm.
And whenever Flo Kid is playing, Richie Busy is in concert. Just wear your dancing shoes. He emphasized a lot of times, like just tell your people to wear the dancing shoes. So I'm not working out that weekend. That'll be my workout. Of course, Sadiq is gonna be the master of ceremony.
Mhm.
I'm not sure of the other host what they'll be doing. I know that the lady will be, I think she dances too. She'll be doing the culture dance. So above all, I'm just excited. The cause for this is they're going to, it doesn't matter how much, even if you're not going, please donate because that money goes a long way. It helps a girl child. So what these ladies are doing is they're taking that money, supporting, sponsoring kids, buying sanitary towels, school books, school, just things to help and support that girl child so she doesn't look for a sugar daddy or some blesser to take care of her at school. So I commend the ladies.
Amazing job.
Absolutely. And in other community news, Winnie, your AIDS walk was last Sunday. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Oh yes, so the Edgework was last Sunday. It was amazing, guys. I just want to say thank you for people who really sponsored. They didn't make it, but they were able to sponsor. And listen, the doors are still open. You can still donate. We have the information on our page, and then we're all this amount of money, the $20 t-shirt, $25 t-shirt, even more than $20. We have Edgework Zambia, and we have about 1,500 youth have registered they want to walk. So we buy them t-shirt and we give them a meal. So
That's
please, yeah, so please, if still coming, please keep on donating. And these are little pictures that I have I can share. That was just me, my family, and the kids. It's Belina and Dakala, Manandanji, and me and the kids. And it was amazing. And next time, feel free, come
Nice.
to New York. Be part of the walk. It's beautiful. Like I said, Priska was there last time, and Zoe and Irene. It was amazing. She didn't walk much, guys, but she walked halfway.
I was there. I
No, no.
drove using my premium gas, my car, paid for hotel in New York, ate
Oh,
dinner. Just coming to New York was enough.
$500
oh no,
dinner.
listen, that was amazing. I'm saying the 2 hour walk.
Oh, okay, no, I was not walking 2 hours, Jen. And I
Yeah,
was
but
bigger than two.
everything else you did. Listen, your sponsor, you've been always sponsoring us. You're always supporting. You're always in our ears. When you do this, do that. So listen, it means a lot.
Thank you.
Everybody who's
I was
always putting up.
much bigger. I was not going to survive walking 2 hours.
Yeah. Moving on.
And I'm glad that they do it this time of the year because it's not very hot, right?
Mhm.
The weather is very springy. We're not really getting into that summer heat yet, unlike in Texas, where it's sweltering. But yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Winnie. So, like we promised, guys, we are diving into this topic. Right before we say a short thanks to our sponsors, we'll be right back and dive into that topic.
Before we go to that topic, I wanted before on the community news, this one right here, Miss Nelly.
Yeah. So anybody, guys, on community news, if your family is not protected, if you need to protect your income, we cannot overemphasize the importance of protecting your income. We protect our health with health insurance, our cars with car insurance, our home with home insurance, but we don't protect our income. What happens when something happens and you can't work or your spouse can't work? Call me. I will walk you through what you need to do to protect yourself and your family. My number is right there on the screen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Winnie.
My whole life, my father told me stories about moving to the United States. He would tell me that his brother, my Uncle George, was already living here and let my father stay with him for a while. Through my Uncle George, my father was introduced to our cultural organization here in America, who helped him make connections, apply for college, find his first job, and adjust to life in a completely different culture than he was used to. The Cultural Association helped him get started on his new life. My Uncle George would bring my father with him to the annual Summer Cultural Groups Festival, and later, he would bring me. It was incredible to see so many people of all ages laughing and celebrating with food and song and dance. It brought back the best feelings of home and gave my father the opportunity to pass his culture, language, and values on to me. My father and Uncle George were very close, so when George died last year, my father wanted to honor his wishes to be buried with a traditional ceremony back at his birthplace. My father told me that because Uncle George had cultural group life insurance, he was able to afford to bring George home and have the traditional burial George wanted. Though my father had been able to honor my Uncle George's wishes, it got me thinking about my own family. One day, I'd have to make the same arrangements for my own parents, and my wife's parents as well. Of course, we would want to bring them home and honor their wishes, but it would be a financial hardship for our family. There were a lot of things to think about, even though I really didn't want to think about them at all. When my father told me about cultural group life insurance, he told me it's intended to help families when they need it the most. It's not tied to an employer, so no matter where my career takes me, I'll always...
Welcome back.
All right. Welcome back to the Insaka Talk Show, and thank you for watching. We just wanted to remind you, we do have these cultural group insurance within each association for those that are in the Zambian communities, even other communities. If you're interested in setting it up, please do so. I do know that over here in Dallas, it is open enrollment. So get in touch with myself, the publicity secretary, or even the current president, Fred. If you want to sign up for that life insurance, it only costs $10 a month, you all. So, once again, we are back with the Insaka Talk Show, and today we are talking about understanding and setting boundaries in relationships. So, to kick off the conversation, guys, what do we mean boundaries? Boundaries in with our spouses, boundaries with our friends, boundaries with our children, boundaries with our community, even our parents. Sometimes we have to do that. So can we talk about what does it mean when we talk about understanding boundaries, right? One of the and to to help us kick off the conversation, we just want to start with how can someone identify, Priska, how can you identify if your boundaries are being respected or violated? What is one of those clear indications, first of all?
When I tell you that I don't like it when you do this and you keep on doing it, or I tell you this is the way that I like to be treated and you keep on doing it, you're just violating me and you're not understanding it.
What about you, Winnie? How do you identify when your boundaries are being disrespected or respected or violated, right? Because there's a twofold to this. When you feel like your boundaries are being respected and when you feel like, no, they're being disrespected. How can you tell?
We can't hear you.
Hey, Winnie, we cannot hear you. No. Okay, while Winnie is working out her sound issues, I will go ahead and, speak for myself. Very similar, honestly, to what Priska said. If there is the mental boundary, and I know we're going to get into that a little bit, right? Some boundaries are not easy to tell when they're being crossed. Some are obvious and some are not so obvious. Usually the physical boundaries are easy for us to feel like when somebody is within your personal space, you're like, okay, you cross the boundary, right? That's just one of them. But yeah, I don't know if Winnie is back with us.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry about that.
Okay.
This thing just sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Yeah.
All right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So talking about boundaries, I think when I think for me it's like when you allow people close to you, they just like they walk all over you. You have to set boundaries for yourself because it's you just don't want anybody to just walk over you. So always remember to set up the boundaries before anything else.
Yeah, but how do you identify, right? Like when that boundary is crossed, how can you say, in this particular instance, you just violated my boundaries, right? Or you respected my boundary?
I think I've been in a situation where my old friend, which is fine, anybody, one of my friends, you can come to my room and it's okay. But this particular person had walked in my room and just like started opening the drawers. Yes. And then by then I was with my ex-mother-in-law and she told me, your friend is not a friend. I don't know why you let her come in your room. I was like, but I did think it was okay. But when she opened the drawers, I thought like, you know what, we can't do that. Like, I respect you. You can come and walk in my room, but you can't just be opening the drawers. Like, that was just like, you violate my boundaries. And from that time, I think the friendship started going rocky until it was just like, nah.
This is a question though. Did you set boundaries? And another question that I have for you ladies is this, at this age, on this level where we are, where we understand boundaries, we want to be respected, we want to be treated a certain way, we want to be talked to a certain way. When we meet friends and we start making friendships, should we set boundaries from the beginning? And I know we did that when the four of us first met. We were like, I know that I'm very difficult, not really difficult, like I'm a lot to work with.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of give a disclaimer. So when Chiseche comes out or when I go off, you're expecting that. But do you think at this age where we are, when we're starting these friendships and relationships, we should set boundaries from the beginning? Like when in your case, you'd be like, you're my friend and I'm letting you in my bedroom, but one thing you cannot do is go through my stuff.
I think we are too old to even know at this point. I can't just come and walk in your room. Like I would say, I was in my friend's house last week. They just got a home.
But
So
if you
we
don't
went,
set boundaries, I don't know.
I agree with
I'm giving
Winnie,
you,
right? So sorry, Winnie. I agree with you to a certain extent. There are some things that you don't expect that somebody's going to do. None of us have had that conversation here, right? To say we've been in each other's homes.
yes,
Well, we haven't been in
I
Winnie
know.
yet, but we've been in each other's homes to know that, Priska, I've been to your home, you've been into my home. I never once had to say, don't open my drawers. I'm setting boundaries here, because it's some things you feel like I don't need to tell you that, right? But when you happen to cross it, obviously I'm sure at that point, then I have to now vocalize and say that wasn't cool or whatever, right? So I feel like there's no way she could have set that boundary.
Okay.
Yeah. But the person should just, like I said, I went to my friend's home, so I had T-shirts for the walk, and it was like a bridal party, baby shower. So I said, where can I put this bag? And she says, go in my room. I was like, are you sure? He's like, yeah, you just go ahead. But I needed to get a permission from her. I could have just not walked in her room. Even if I was there first time, she let me in. There were a lot of people in her house. So I said, are you sure? Are you okay? She was like, come on. I was like, okay, then I just went and just dropped whatever I was dropping. So right there, I respect my friend, and she knows what I did. I had to ask her. If I didn't ask her, no, that would be like a cross, because that's a room, that's a sanctuary. You just can't walk in like that. So as grown up as we are, making friendship or having our old friends, or just in general, I can't just come to Nelly's house and just say, oh, Nelly, can I just come and see your room? No. You have to let me in. And you're setting up boundaries by you letting me in. You know that, okay, she's my friend. She can come to my room, but the only thing I'm going to do is stand or whatever that we're doing at that particular moment. So as grown-up people should just know.
Okay.
And while we are on this topic of boundaries, right, we need to actually define, I think we should have started with this, like what exactly are boundaries and why are they important to have in relationships? Why is it really key for us to even talk about them? Right? What do you think, Priska?
Boundaries are when you tell someone how you want to be treated, what kind of a relationship you want, how you want to be respected. If you are a parent, right? The conversations that I will have with Zoe, and when she would say something to me, I'm like, stop it right there. I'm not your friend, I'm your mother.
Yeah.
The way that my husband would talk to me, like, I'm not your girlfriend, I'm your wife. The way my friend, like, for example, you and I are close, we're friends, but we never want to call ourselves the B word.
Yeah.
Like, B, why would you be? Why would we? So those are boundaries that you just expected and you set around. And you say, this is how I want to be treated. This is how I want to be respected. And this is how I expect you to treat me. Yeah.
Yeah. Winnie?
Yeah, I think Priska is right. Just this week, my Paolo called me because she left the keys at school. And then she called me. She's like, oh, mommy, can you leave your keys? I said, oh, yeah, I remember. If I remember. Of course, my keys are all together with my car keys. So when I was leaving, I just left. She comes home and she called me. Oh, you didn't leave the keys. What am I going to do? I'm like, you know what? Let me call my landlord, can open for you. Oh, my gosh. I'm like, excuse me? Are you yelling? Listen, girl, I am your mother. But you can always, she said, you can if it was me, you're going to yell at me. I was like, yes, I will yell at you 24/7. But you should never raise a voice. And right now, shut it. And I'm going to figure it out what's going to happen before you guys get into the house. So when I got home, she realized I was upset. And she said, Mommy, I'm sorry I yelled. So like right there, she knows, like, you can't do that. You can't yell at me. I left because of my kids. You lost your kids. Right
and then
there.
what is your definition?
Yeah, it's interesting that, when we talk about boundaries, I think as Africans, we always gravitate towards the parent-child relationship. I think we it's very clear to every African out there, and I think even in the Asian communities, that when it comes to boundaries, they're very clear between parent and child, right? It's so clear how we can do that so easily, but then we don't do it as easily when it comes to other relationships, especially like
That's right.
spousal relationship, right?
Mm-hmm.
In dating. So for me, my definition of boundaries, or the textbook definition, actually is boundaries are a set of rules and limits that we set for ourselves in relationships to define the behaviors that are acceptable for us, right? And
Personally,
those
yeah.
can be physical, emotional, time-based, or space-based, right? So that would be the textbook definition of what boundaries are: rules and limits that we set for ourselves in the relationships that we encounter, right? So as we continue to talk about this, one of the things that we've talked about what boundaries are. We've talked about how some of the boundaries have been crossed. I want us to now talk about what are the challenges really that we face. We already acknowledge that when it comes to that parent-child relationship, it's easy to set those boundaries, but I think it's not so easy to set those boundaries in other relationships, especially like in marriages or in dating. So what are some of the challenges you guys have faced in setting boundaries?
I think, oh, you can go ahead.
Um,
Hmm.
to be rejected or to be told that, yeah,
Hmm.
Tababuino. Like you're not a
Uh-huh.
nice person.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you want to be rejected because you set boundaries and you want to be treated this way. And this is the only thing that you can do. They'll just be like, ah, this one. Mm-mm.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. There are some fears, and as you mentioned, that there are some common fears that we face. Most of us have find ourselves in a situation where we're not brave enough to say no to a situation because we don't want to be disliked, right? We don't want to be labeled as the difficult one or
Yeah.
the odd one out. Uh, So that's a challenge.
I think I can say that even about me. I think I was having a conversation with Priska. I was like, sometimes I go through these difficult moments where I feel rejected. And then I look around, it's because I stand tall.
Mm.
People don't even know me, but they just say, Takaba bueno, kadi tumba. No, it's because I'm just like all to myself. Yes, I might be loud among the people that I know, but I'm very like well to myself. I put up myself, like I'm not gonna go around and say, oh, I'm a single mom, I'm dragging myself. No, I'm always like, I got it, no matter what. I will cry to you guys because you know me. But on the outside world, I'm very like, if I'm doing the foundation thing, if I'm doing the Insaka thing, I'm out here doing what I'm doing. But people will be like, ah, she's here, she's that. Because I set up the boundaries whereby I am strong, I'm gonna be by myself, and this is what I am. And I get rejected by being me and refuse to be everybody is that. So I don't know. It's like it's very hard to get. I get rejected most of the time because takaba bueno, kaditumba, but it is what it is.
Interesting take on that, Winnie. And with that, we'll segue into, how do you think that cultural expectations, not just in Zambia, but in Africa as a whole, how do you think they influence or shape the way we set our boundaries or respect boundaries? And I think to begin this, I want to go back to the parent-child. It's like the boundaries are very heavy there, right?
Yeah.
On the parent-child relationship is very heavy. On child being respectful and not talking back and not doing ABC. But I'm going to play kind of the devil's advocate here and say, do you think that those cultural expectations kind of make our children feel like they don't have a voice sometimes?
I think so.
Absolutely. You know why? Because we are, our children are first generation Americans. It's even very difficult to balance the way we were raised. We would not talk back to our parents, right?
Yeah.
And the way we're raising them, we're teaching them to speak your mind. Well, some of us, we were taught speak your mind, stand in your truth, live in what you do. That was my South African part. Then my Zambian part was you don't talk back to grown-ups. Culturally, I think, man, Africans don't know how to say no, don't know how to tell the truth, especially in Zambia. If I don't want you to come to my house,
Yeah.
I'm just going to not even tell you that I don't want you to come to my house.
Yeah.
Here, these kids would just be like, no, I don't feel like it.
Yeah.
And just leave it there. So it's them if you do, them if you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I like the example of in Zambia we have a saying that says "Abantu balambona shani."
Yeah.
Like, what will people think of me? It's a very common phrase, right? And that is very telling of how we think about setting boundaries. Like we are so bound. We are so bound by culture and tradition and just being acceptable that we let a lot of things just go.
Yeah.
I just remembered something, sorry. So I'm not going to mention their names, talking about setting boundaries and saying no. I just remember this when I talked about coming to a house. I was friends with a couple and we went somewhere, I don't know where we went, but we drove my car. So they were dropping me off at home, waiting for somebody to pick them up. They were talking about, I'm hungry, I want to do this, I want to do this. And then in my mind, I'm tired. When I'm tired, I just want to sleep. So we pull up, we literally in front of my house, and they're like, let's go in. I said, no. They're like, what do you mean? So I said, absolutely, until your ride comes. Because
if you get inside, you're tired, that means you have to start preparing food because you're already saying they're hungry, right?
Girl, I said to myself, no, when you get in the house, first of all, I don't feel like talking. I've talked enough. I just want to get in here, take a shower, and sleep. I don't want to entertain you.
Gosh.
So for that reason, you're just not going to come in. But those are boundaries that I'm setting.
I cannot.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm just going to be very miserable, very uncomfortable, very disrespectful. In that moment, you're going to say she's very self-centered. How can we be in her house? She's not entertaining. She's not cooking. She's not doing that.
Yeah. Kudos to you.
Until your ride comes. Okay, bye. Thank you.
So Winnie, how about communicating boundaries, right? Like what do you think are some of the effective ways that you can communicate boundaries without causing conflicts? Because usually people are afraid to set boundaries because now they don't want to be seen as either unfriendly, confrontational, or whatever. How can you set boundaries without causing conflict?
I think for me, if you really like cross me or I feel like you've done something, I'm gonna wait until I'm ready to speak. Then I can have a great conversation. Because I know if I speak when you are speaking, then we're just it's a firebomb. It's not gonna work. We'll never talk, and that's it. You're done. So I wait until I know my gods has told me that, okay, Winnie, now it's time. Call this person.
Have you waited with Priska? Because you
no,
haven't
only me and Priska, we don't wait. I don't wait for me and Priska, there's no waiting. It's a bomb. You know what? Like, listen, Priska's love, I think I've told you too. Priska's love is love that I had with Mate. And look at me, Mate, we're like 27 plus years. It's like a mouse and the cat. It's just gotta go until we figure it out. Who wins, who's right. And you know what? She pisses me off, I piss her off, but we work together because there's a sister love. It's not a friendship. There's a difference when you just like want to work through sisterhood, because that's what we are. We're not working towards friendship. If we're working towards friendship, me and Priska probably by now would have been, call it a quit.
Yeah, blocked.
I'll be
Yeah.
done.
Time.
But there's a bond, there's a relationship that I know it's gonna blossom. We are growing, we are women, we're gonna grow older together. So there's that place where no matter what, fine, just so what are we doing? So what? So like it's easy to call her because I know there's a piece of me that I love her. But there are people that it's just so hard to see them, to even have a conversation with them, because they've crossed so much.
But you're not a good communicator, though.
I'm not. That's
Just
why
like now, you're not even answering the question. You just went off. We were going to Joburg.
No, what I do when I want to communicate without causing conflicts, I wait until I am ready to speak to a person.
Okay.
I wait because I know if I speak,
simmer down.
Yes, because if I go in like when it happened, it's not gonna be good. Because you're gonna come thinking, she's too much. She didn't even pay attention. She didn't even listen to me. Because then I'm just like upset or whatever happened. So I wait.
For me, I am learning to wait because I can go from 0 to 10 and I will speak my mind. But one thing about me, though, I believe in having a conversation. I believe in let's sit down, let's resolve this. Where did I go wrong? And where I'm wrong, I will admit and say, you know what, I'm sorry, I was wrong. There was a misunderstanding. Can we start again? I want to know what is it that I did to cross the boundaries, or this is what you did without causing conflict, even whatever it is. I believe in sitting down, let's talk, let's iron it out. The second time in a couple of friendships, and everybody here knows that Lisa and I had a fallout and then we started again. And the reason why we're still friends today is because we understand boundaries. When she started behaving crazy, acting crazy, I sat her down and I was like, we need to talk. And I was like, is there a reason why you're behaving and acting this way? She was like, no, she didn't know how to say no, how to face somebody, or how to speak up for herself. The second time I was like, okay, second time, third time I was like, I think we're done. So we just close that chapter. And eventually, as we grow older, so now that we are friends again, we are talking, we understand boundaries. She knows what not to do and what to do. Same here. And hence comes in respect and growth. And that's when you move from friendship to sisterhood now. So to answer the question, I want to talk about it.
Can I say something? What would you do if you have a friend that you thought you trusted and you tell that you talked about everything, and then this person is like, she's the middle person, everything that you told them in your vulnerable moments, she had gone and told somebody else?
That's clearly a violation of boundaries. So, which brings us to the next one: is a violation. How do you deal with a violation?
Wait, sorry. I want to go back. So Winnie, sometimes when you have your own Winnie language, whatever it is that you're saying is not even clear. So you have a best friend.
You have a friend and a best friend. Your friend.
You have a friend that you confide in.
Yes.
And the friend talks to somebody else.
Yes.
I think we can all be a little bit guilty of that. It depends on what it is that you say and what you told the person. I will have a conversation with that friend and say, look, it's not gossip. I just want to understand and know that you did not mean what was the reasoning of you going to share what I shared with you, especially in confidence, depending on how deep that is. And then if they were being malicious, then I think that's we are breaking up. Nelly?
Yeah, I think depending on if it's really something that's very personal or deeply personal, yeah, I think we're done.
There are just some things that you cannot repeat, period, point blank. I don't care who, even to my
grave with you.
Who's my closest. There are just some things that I cannot repeat to him that a friend of mine told me. And that's something that we need to learn to do.
It's very hard because there are some friends, they have some friends who come to you and they want to be with you because you're going through the problems. For example, I was divorced. When you're divorced, you go through a lot of craziness, but they come through you because they know you are in that moment. So they use that moment to go and tell somebody else about what was going on in your home. And then later on, you hear it and then you're like, come on, man, I was going through that. That wasn't a joke.
This is the thing,
But
though.
not a friend. I think, Winnie, you have a lot of people around you that you've mistaken for friends.
That's
Yeah.
right.
I think we need to get that very clear, because a friend, the true definition of a friend, would not do that to you. Um,
You
some
know,
friend, yeah, go ahead.
go ahead. No, go ahead, Nettie. I was just gonna go.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
there
but
is. I think as adults, women now 40s, of course, the ones we married were not our first love or our first boyfriends
Yes,
or whatever. A woman that gets up and tell what Winnie or Nelly is going through in a relationship is a very sad person, because I don't think from
that's
the
right.
time we started getting into relationships to where we are, we've never faced like a breakup or a heartbreak. At some point, we all go through that. Now, why would you want to take what Winnie's going through and let everybody know, like, you've never been through that, or you will never be through that, you will never
right.
go through that?
Especially the ones that have never even been through that. They're not even like married, and they
We've been through it, all of us. Trust me, everybody has kissed so many frogs to get to the right prince. Now, when it comes to friendships, those ones that get up and want to talk about you is the ones that I have one of those ones that just wanted to be your friends. In the first place, they were not even supposed to be your friends, like social, that want to climb the social status and want to be around you and be you and everything else that you have, or want to get to know somebody and wants to destroy just everything along the way. Those ones were just never even friends. They were just people that just came around and
bye.
can just go.
Man, so can we agree that dealing with boundary violations require conversations then, right? It
Yes.
requires definitely a sit down, like the same way that our parents would sit us down when they feel like we've violated their respect, and vice versa, what we do with our children. I think there's need for us to have conversations with, whether it's your spouse or your friend. I think they should be, hey, let's sit down, let's talk about this, and just be clear, right? Without being, how do you do it in a safe way without causing conflict? Explain the behavior instead of saying, for example, you're a very bad person, you're very evil. You could say, when you said ABC, it made me feel
That's
ABC.
way.
It made me feel that, you didn't respect me, you didn't respect my boundaries or whatever. Be specific about what it is that you are confronting the person with, I think that's one of the reasons that people fall out, is because instead of calling out the behavior, we are attacking them,
And even having a mediator, like a third party there, just
Yeah.
like, in our case, maybe we'll be like, Pastor Nathan, could you just come in? Because Nelly and I
Nelly can be in
are not
between.
seeing eye to eye. I just need a mediator in between that can play devil's advocate, not take sides.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, somebody who can see things from a different perspective, will have a better view of things, right? So, I mean, we've talked about what boundaries are. We've talked about how, violating boundaries can feel, but let's talk about the positive side. If and when boundaries are respected, right? How do proper boundaries contribute to a healthy relationship? Can you give me an example of when a boundary was set and respected, and how it helped the relationship become better?
Now let
I'll
me think of what my
like for example, for me, right? I have a really good relationship with my mom. It wasn't always like that. We've had obviously times when we didn't see eye to eye. My mom is very spiritual, she's very religious and stuff. There were times when I want to go and do my own thing, and she's like, no, Jesus said, my dear. Anyway, and we lived in this home together. So I have one of those unique situations where I had my mother, my husband's mother, and our children all living under this one roof. Whenever I would tell people, they'll be like, no, I can't do it. So I think it's a testament to how, without even realizing it, I am blessed enough to be able to set healthy boundaries with the people that I'm around in order for us to live for so many years under one roof. And really, communication is key. Communication is key. When something goes wrong, sit down, address it, talk about it. And once you talk about it, move on.
Yeah.
Move on. Yeah.
I've had a couple of my girlfriends where we didn't see eye to eye, but we had this setup. We had meeting, we talked about it, and we realized that we have so much in common with this person. I think we just didn't, because when somebody, how when somebody know you from somebody else's story, it's very hard for people to just be your friend. So they coming in with that, oh, you did that, oh, look at her, she's gonna do the same thing. So they don't know you. But when they get to know you and then something small happens, so now you come back around, you're like, you know what? Actually, that's not what I thought. That's not what I meant. But you know what? We can start over. And then after we started over, we are good friends because now we set up the boundaries of it. If you hear something, ask me and I'll let you know. If I did it, I'll tell you.
It just reminded me, Winnie, actually, there's a boundary that we set with my siblings. So there were 4 girls in the household around the same age. We were all like 2 years apart, and living in Mozambique, we got there, we were teenagers. We were just starting to look at boys and say, oh, that one is cute, that one is whatever. And so we made a rule amongst ourselves to say, if there's any guy that you like, 1, 2, approaches you and say, hey, I like you, like back in the day, can you be my girlfriend type of thing. If a guy approaches you and say, I like you, I want to date you, you need to let all of us know, because we don't want to be played. We are sisters and we're not going to fight over a boy. So that's one of those rules that we set for ourselves, that no matter what, we have to tell each other, hey, that boy right there just told me he wants to date me. And all of us, if he comes and looks at us, we're like, yeah. So anyway, sorry, go ahead.
That reminded me of when Winnie said we found out that we have a lot in common. And when you set boundaries when the boy likes you with your sisters. In my early teenage years, well, I was already grown up, had this boyfriend that I was dating. And he was cheating with this girl called Cynthia, cheating on me. Now, every time Cynthia sees me, she'll be like, okay. And for some reason, I kind of like Cynthia, but I kind of did not like her. Eventually, I caught them. Cynthia and I got into it. And later on in life, I was very good friends with Cynthia's sister. Later on in life, Cynthia moved on, went to UK. I stayed in South Africa, came here. Cynthia and I reconnected. Do you know, Cynthia is one of my good friends. We sit down and talk. We have so much in common with Cynthia. We sit down and we talk about it and we laugh about like, what was that for even thinking, or what was this? So when you say setting boundaries and learning and understanding that you have a lot in common, you have a lot in common, you find out that that person was trying to even separate. And I was like, we could have been sisters, we could have been friends long time ago. And when people say us, they're like, didn't you date one person? Yeah, we did. But then we have more in common with each other.
We have more in common than that episode. Yeah. So that's why we have to be very careful. Sorry, Nelly. We have to be very careful. There are people coming between you guys of friendship, try to separate your friendship. But you're actually, when you find yourself again in another second chance of life, you're gonna see you talk forever. You're gonna chat forever. You have so much in common. You're raising kids together. You have questions for each other. Life goes on every single day. Like, wow, I'm glad we are reconnected because now we are better friends. I have those good friends.
Nelly.
On a funny note, though, on a funny note to that, right? He probably dated you both because you had so much in common.
Come on.
No, he was
my Nini and my guru.
yeah, and she's from Zimbabwe.
Oh,
He wanted to do
try.
for you guys.
Yeah, she's from
So,
Zimbabwe.
so in conclusion, guys, like I know one aspect of boundaries we haven't really talked about. We've touched on parental child relationship. We've touched on friends, sisterhood, sibling. We haven't talked about, spousal or dating boundaries. Can we give some examples of when a spouse violates or somebody you're dating violates your boundaries, and how do you deal with that? How do you set boundaries? How do you deal with it when they're violated?
Setting, I don't know about violated, but I'll talk about setting. So my husband and I used to be friends. When we met, when he tried to talk to me, I told him I will not be somebody's girlfriend. If you have no intentions of marrying me, do not even think about it. So I set those boundaries. Number one, he knew that this relationship must lead to marriage.
Yeah.
He was not proposing. I was like, we're going to break up. When are we going to marry me?
Please.
Broken promise. We got engaged. When we got engaged, I was not going to be somebody's girlfriend or fiance for a year. When it's time for us to get married, I would need to go and get married. So I set those boundaries from the beginning. And even from the beginning, the way you talk to Sal, like, do not talk to me like that. I'm not your girlfriend. I'm your wife. You need to have some respect. Do not talk to me like that. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'm sorry, guys. I said those
coming out as loud on our side anyway.
Can you hear that noise?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Fine. We can't hear nothing. We're good.
Really?
So I set those boundaries. Do not talk to me this way. You will never call me the B word. You will never do this. When those boundaries are violated, I'm very quick to remind you and say, remember from the beginning, this is what we talked about. And this is how I would like to be treated in this relationship as a wife that I am, as a good wife.
As a good wife.
As a good wife. Oh, good wife.
That I am. I want to be treated this way. So I have no problem reminding.
That is good. I've set up boundaries now in my relationship. In my last relationship, my boundary was like there was no cheating, and he did it a couple times. And when somebody doing it, like, oh, I forgive you because my father was a pastor. You can't get divorced. And then when I realized this was not going, I just packed up me and my children and I left. But in this relationship that I'm in now, we have boundaries. We have a certain way we call ourselves. He calls me Musonda. He calls me my father's name. He says, I'm going to respect you until when I call you Winnie, you should know. He call me baby, call me all the names he could call me. But when he calls me Winnie, that means I did something wrong. When he called me Winnie, I just said, okay, but what did I do? But so he called me Musonda all the time. It's like, I respect the father, your father. I respect your last name. I'm going to call you this name, which is great. So as well, for me, I call him his name. When I call him DeWeaver, I call him Ryan, especially when I call him Ryan, he knows it.
So do you get in trouble for not calling the name?
No. When he does something, so like, for example, he does something, he was supposed to do certain things and he didn't do it. And I say, Ryan, really? Like, so you know that we need to sit down and talk.
So what is the boundary that's being crossed though? Like, what did you put in place and say, this, you are not to do this. And if you do this, then I call you Ryan. Like,
for
once
example,
you do.
They went out with his friends. He didn't tell me because he thought I was sleeping. And then I saw,
Very difficult boundary.
oh no, very, because you know what, especially when you've been somewhere, you have to set boundaries. I love you, I respect you. I don't have to be there, but just a text message, hey babe, I'm not gonna be around, or I'm gonna do this, right? And then I find out that, oh, you went this way. I'm like, you could have just told me. So I'm like, really? And I'll call you your name. Like, can we sit down and talk about it? Because I don't want those things to just happen. Oh, she's gonna be fine. Because you know what happens? Things, oh, she's okay. I don't have to say, I don't have to tell her what's going on. But if we are together, we have to set up boundaries. Relationship to be healthy, you have to have boundaries. Yeah. So I've set up those boundaries. So I'm also waiting for that, Priska. The marriage, the boundaries. Yeah.
You have waited too long, Shem.
Oh no, no. Listen, I came with my kids. I just wanted to make sure it's not easy to just.
I came in with a child too and found children.
Listen, we're different. I needed to wait, especially I was scared, and this is, everybody's gonna watch this, and probably he's gonna watch it. I was scared, especially having small babies by myself, being in the small house by myself. 3 of us, now we are 4. So I wanted to be like where I am, where I'm comfortable, and it's okay. Now we're family. It feels right. So I'm grateful.
All the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nelly?
Well, for me, I had some boundaries I had to set, obviously. And one of those is, don't you ever put your hand on me.
I'm almost scared what you were going to say.
Ever. You put your hand on me, we are done.
Yeah.
That's it. Don't say, Taba, we know, I'm calling the police. Because I can't fight. I fight with my mouth. I cannot fight physically. I have no strength, Shem. So please, you put your hands on me, we are done.
Okay? That is a good one. I think every woman should say that.
Have that.
From the very beginning. We've had instances where he gets so mad. I remember one time, I just said, remember. Remember what I said.
In the middle of fighting, in the middle of arguing, maybe you gotta remember. You're too smart.
I know what I said, bro.
This one.
Just in the middle of in the middle of somebody wants to do it, like, what happened? Remember?
No, it's just the way she said it. She looks like, what's Ozuko, Patience Ozuko? She's like, I just said remember.
Remember. Yeah, so it's a lot of other boundaries. Obviously, you have to set boundaries even in the bedroom, right? Yeah. Because
that's a big one
out there that somebody may just want to come and tell you, I want this, I want that. Set boundaries, ladies.
No, you can say no to your spouse.
You and
can
gentlemen,
say no.
So I will end it there before I go too far. But guys, this has been really great. We want to know, let us know in the comments, what are some of the boundaries that you've had to set lately? And what did you learn from this show that you were like, oh, you know what? I'm going to start setting that boundary. Let us know.
I want us to do the last remarks too.
Okay, sure. Go ahead.
We can start with Winnie.
Yeah.
What are your last remarks? What advice?
30 seconds or less.
I think, like we're talking about setting up boundaries. I'm gonna stay with friendship, especially friendship, because, like Nelly said, and it's true. I learned for the last 4 years working on myself. Most of the people that I thought they were my friends, they were just my coming in, pass by, and go. And I'm at the place where I'm setting up boundaries, healthy friendships, healthy sisterhood, and I'm grateful for the sisters that I have right now, because it feels right to be with them, to talk to them. I don't have to worry about anything. So set up your boundary with your friendship, especially where we're in diaspora. You think you can call anybody and talk to them about everything. No, because some people, they're not just your friend. They're just like, hi friends. So I have learned to set up the boundaries, and please do that.
I think for me, people will treat you the way you treat yourself. One of the things is, if you walk out of the house looking crazy, looking dirty, people will treat you like that. So have self-respect, respect yourself, treat people the way you would like to be treated, and be honest with yourself and be honest with those people. I believe once you set boundaries and tell somebody, I don't want you to talk to me this way, I don't want you to treat me this way, this is how I would like to be treated, and do the same for them as well.
Mhm.
That's it for me.
Yeah. For me, I'm gonna, just remind everyone boundaries are important. They're essential for every relationship. So take time, set those boundaries, have those conversations. What makes you uncomfortable? What makes you comfortable? And you'll find that you have healthier relationships with those around you.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, from us at the Insaka Talk Show, we love you. Thank you for joining us today.
Until
And
next time.
have a great day.